Good afternoon. Welcome to the Friday, January 19th, 2024 meeting publicly of the Kingston City Land Bank's Communication, Community Engagement, and Fundraising Committee. My name is Mike. I serve as the Executive Director. And with that, we will commence the first meeting of the year, for which first agenda item is to elect a committee chair. I will note that Bartek Stardai, who serves as the committee chair since, I believe, starting on the land bank 5 years ago, has said that he would be willing to continue his service in that role if the committee so elects. Having said that, could I hear a motion to consider electing a new or a current committee chair? Re-elect.
Well, actually, should we wait for Bartek then, if that's the first thing on the agenda?
I think maybe, Nate, I was trying to stretch it out a little bit. Maybe I'll hit pause if you guys don't mind, and we'll wait a couple more minutes. Cool. Okay, we've returned. Welcome, Bartek. The first agenda item is to a committee to elect a committee chair.
I'm happy to continue being the chair, but also happy if anyone else wants to, but happy to continue.
I would move to have Bartek continue as the chair of the committee.
I can second that.
Seconded by Barbara. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. You can't see my hand, but I'll give you a verbal aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Chair Stardai. Would you like me to continue the meeting as moderator, or would you like to take over the agenda?
Could I'm looking. Well, this is why I'm so confused, because I'm looking at the wrong agenda. Like, why does this agenda not have anything to do with yes, the first order is discussing the splitting the comms and fundraising committees, which I believe is also on our agenda for Monday night. I'm not sure if does anyone have anything to say about that. There's pros and cons. I think one, do you envision, Mike, having a discussion on this Monday night as a board?
I do.
Yeah.
I have it on the agenda and governance to go through this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth relitigating, so to speak, here. I'm torn. Honestly, I see for me personally, I see the benefit of splitting. There are just, I think, capacity issues with creating another committee, but I understand the intent as well. So,
Can I ask for some context as to why the committees are together, or what brought up the issue to want to split them?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So they were initially separate committees, and in part because we had lost some board members, so we were down to a few, and it was spread a little thin on each of the committees, and in part because of the sense that basically any sort of community or outreach event or initiative should also potentially include a fundraising component, or at least be a opportunity for fundraising. The idea was, well, let's combine them. Now that we thankfully have more board members and have been thinking more about the scope and role of them, one of the issues raised is, well, does it really make sense for them to stay combined? Do they have different missions? Do they still overlap enough to sort of be run together, or would it make more sense to separate them? I'm kind of with Bartek. I'm torn, and I could really go either way, and I keep talking myself in and out of it all the time. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we have any of the folks who are technically on the fundraising, if it were to be separate, are on the fundraising committee on this call, because it would be Aaron and, is it just Aaron and Ethel? Am I right with
Correct. It is.
So I'd be curious to get their input as well. But but yeah, I could go either way.
I mean, I'm an advocate of separating the tasks, if not the committee, right? So I don't know that whether the committee has to be separated or not. But I just think that that looking at the projects going forward, and I read the surplus disposition today, things like that. Looking at projects going forward, I think communication is incredibly important, and that building a knowledge base over the next year will be critical to the success of the land bank. So I would like to advocate for a more focused communications plan with a real sort of set of goals to whatever. And I think that's probably something we're going to talk about at the retreat, but that's why, so that when we get into manifold, multiple, or larger projects in the land bank, people are clear what the land bank does and doesn't do, how it came into being, who's part of it, what kind of information and research we base our work on, who's involved, even, both on a macro level and on a granular level. So that just seemed important to me as an advocate for certain ideas about learning about housing, and also about this work and how easily it could be confused with other municipal objectives and works, which it is not, right? It is not, for instance, the Housing Task Force or the Rent Stabilization Board or any of the other things that happen in Kingston having to do with housing. And I have to take something out of the oven, so that I'll be right back. You can talk, I just am not in front of my camera.
Yeah, I have like one comment in terms of just both tasks of a communications, committee and a fundraising committee would be external facing. So the left hand would need to know what the right hand is doing to keep a consistent message out. So anything that's shared, with a fundraising opportunity, it's the same like message or, literature, whatever we put out is the communications plan.
Totally.
Yeah.
We have all sorts of these interconnected work streams, Barbara, obviously, hopefully obviously between committees. So one example that pops up in my mind was that the design committee designed a series of t-shirts and totes. And then that would move over to the comms committee, which also included the fundraising committee to advocate for selling them and create events. And it's just one of those touch points where it's like, as long as we're all talking between committees, handing things off, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I think why we decided to combine as well, just because of the coordination. Okay, I don't have anything else to say about that. Does anyone?
I
Yeah,
mean, I
Rebecca.
would just say that I think there's a lot of meetings and a lot of committees, and that while I would advocate for a clear focus of different things, I don't know that splitting the committee is, as I once felt, and helpful in terms of organization or utilization of volunteer time, et cetera, et cetera. So, so if it's more efficient, you know what I mean, in terms of people's time, that's something to think about, I guess. I think.
Okay.
That's that thought. That's the whole thought.
The new website is live, which I didn't realize until I saw this agenda. Is there anything to mention about the launch, Mike? I do think we should say we have a new website, like put it out there. But did everything go smoothly with the launch? Are there any outstanding issues with wrapping it up? The only thing is access for any board member that would like if I would like access to the back end, for instance, but
Me too.
right. Okay. Because there's
Just
some,
so you know.
all right. Okay. Yep. Anyway, speak. What's up?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So no major issues with the process. It did take longer than everybody expected, but part of that was just tech-based. The current website, kclb.org, is up and live, as you mentioned. KingstonCityLandBank.org will redirect to kclb.org, so the site that's currently on there will go away. I'm told today let's say it's hopefully by the board meeting, that actually takes place. That is probably the last major handoff. We've been updating the subcontractor and I, both the public notices for all these meetings on both websites and sort of juggling that. We'll do the same with the board agenda tonight. So I look forward to that taking place. I think those are my updates.
So you're
on
saying
that.
you do have access or you don't?
I
Sorry.
don't. I have,
Oh, you
I have
don't.
access. Sorry. I have access to kingstoncitylandbank.org through WordPress,
Right, the old
which
site.
is, and you do too, I think. But
Yep.
if you would like, I'm taking a training next week with the website provider on how to use and get into. I can send you that invite or just check with you after this meeting.
Yeah.
So that's my hope. I'll be up to speed. There are many things that I need to update, or I put upon myself to update once the new site goes live. Obviously, new officer titles, Barbara's bio, adding Barbara to the website, updating our press page. I'm sure there's some tweaks along the way, but I don't know how to do it yet. I think it's in WordPress. It should be about as easy as it is now.
Is there, in terms of the meeting on Monday night, I do see it's up there. But it doesn't have a location or agenda. So is that something that KDD can do for us?
She can. She's
Or-
waiting for
okay.
my agenda
Got
tonight,
it.
and I'm waiting
Okay.
for these committee
she'll
meetings
do
to end.
Okay.
Correct. On KCLB.org. I will
Right.
do it on our website.
Okay.
Or sorry, kingstoncitylandbank.org.
Do we think Katie will be able to basically turn over the keys like by the end of today, that you'll be able to make changes? Because my goal is that we can use the next couple of days to, like, once it goes live, do a review and make sure we make any little tweaks we need to make and get the bugs out or whatever. And that way at the meeting on Monday, we can sort of announce the formal launch of it, even though it's technically live in some form right now.
I can ask her, Nate, for the keys to KCLB.org and start at least looking at how it functions. I haven't asked her for that yet, but I certainly could. And if I run into any issues, I might not be able to do everything that I would like to do until after they walk me through kind of how it works. But if it's in WordPress, I should be able to figure it out. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
And I
I'll
should be
ask her
able
right
to
after
help
this.
you too.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
And I know that when we were emailing, I think, I forget if Bartek was on that last email or not. If not, I can add you to it as well. But I think the last email that you and I had, Mike, on the website, I know a lot of it was stuff that we felt like, well, these are things we can change and update after we have access. But I wanted to just have it in like one list so that once we get access and it's turned over, we could probably just go through and like make those little changes so it's all in one place. Otherwise I would forget.
Me too. Would you like me to forward that to Bartek? And I have a few laundry list items for myself too.
Yeah, sure,
I'll
that'd be
just-
great.
yeah, cool.
I'm
Mike,
here.
Mike, next you had a bunch of news stories. I assume this is like what should we announce? Is that right?
Yeah, just thoughts,
Yeah.
just my
Okay.
thoughts. There were a few other things I didn't add to this, which could include completing construction on 2 of the 3 homes, almost completing construction on the 3rd, would be another one, and the sale of Downs, but I guess I did put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we should like when the new website is zipped up, I think we should send out a newsletter probably just to announce that, and then also put up a news story about our new board member and welcome Barbara.
Barbara sent me her bio. Barbara, I could
Yeah.
use that to try. I would appreciate some help if somebody could help me push a couple of these out if they seem. Certainly the board chair and officers and the board member could be one article. The new website could be a simple article, so I could take those 2. I know Rebecca, I think you'd spoken about the narrative with the Down Street sale being an important component of external messaging.
Well, I wasn't there for a lot of the discussion. I will definitely write that. You just have to throw something at me so I know to do it.
Sure.
Give me an
Okay.
email and any
Yeah.
particular facts about it. And how much you want. I mean, do you want an article? Like, do you want a couple hundred words? Do you want to interview Eliza and Hoosie Blue, or do you want to just talk about the sale? That's what we're talking about, right? That's I have the
Yeah.
right house. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
correct. I think what I remember you saying at the time resonated with me, just announcing that it's, in the context of the nature of the rehab and first-time homeowners conducting it, residents of Kingston, maybe we say that.
Sure.
Just to set the stage if anyone has questions.
Their application is still in the AGC file, right? Or somewhere.
Yep. It is.
So I'll write something that riffs a little bit off their website, and if I have any questions, now that I'm not forbidden to talk to Eliza, I'll just ask her some questions.
Cool.
About
Awesome.
he's an artist and their family, or whatever. It's all in
Sure.
the application. So just give me a word count, Bartek or somebody's, and
200 words. 250.
Great.
No
Love
more.
that. Love that.
Yeah, Mike, I can help pull some of this together.
Okay.
Once
Thank
I have the keys to the website,
To the kingdom.
yeah, and then
The
happy
kingdom.
to pull this. Happy to pull this. Let's call it our
Okay.
early 2024 news stories.
Perfect.
Happy to
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you.
Next, on Monday we will also have the biggest story, which is that we've selected 3 new home buyers, right?
Right.
But do we remind me, Mike? Do we talk about that? When do we talk about that? When
Right.
we've actually closed? What
I
do we
thi-
want to say about that at this point?
In terms of a news story,
Yeah,
what I
like,
think
do
you're
we want to
asking.
announce anything, or do we want to wait until we're
No.
certain that things are farther down the line?
I think what we've done in the past holds true, because sometimes folks will unfortunately have to drop out or not qualify for various reasons along the way to get that mortgage.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great opportunity to maybe even have an event and promote it the way that we did with German and Union.
Once
and
they
announce it
close,
at that
once they're
time.
closer to closing. Yeah.
Once they have a clear to close date, basically.
Yep. Okay.
The other thing, could I say about the lottery? I was wondering, Kyle, if you wouldn't mind just verbally running through kind of what everything looks like. Because you've got the best handle on it, I think, of all of us, and you've really been in the weeds. But I think it would be helpful for people to understand the parameters and how the process could go. If you're just pulling something up, I can wing it. But
Yeah, no, sure. Should I pull up
Cool.
the actual?
I wouldn't pull it up only because it has the website address and all that stuff. But if everyone's okay with it, we're going to be using a program that Owen has written in conjunction with the logic behind it that Kyle and I have put together. The only reason I wouldn't recommend that we pull it up is just because it has maybe you could do it in full screen.
Sure.
And that-
Yeah, I think we
I
can
can
do
do it. Okay, cool. I just don't want someone watching this meeting or watching the lotto and then going back to this web address and pressing the button that generates the lotto and thinking that that's a result that they could have.
that. Let me
Yeah,
just.
actually, could I make a suggestion? Maybe we
Hmm.
hold on it just because
Okay.
since this is like a public meeting.
Right. Cool.
I want to make sure that it's like totally ironed out before we're like putting it out there.
Cool.
And I have a
Sounds
couple of
great.
questions about it before we make it public.
Okay.
Hold on the
I would-
discussion or then
Sorry, what was that, Kyle?
hold on the discussion or hold on running through.
Oh, no, we can discuss it. Just hold on, like putting it on the share screen. Like we can email out a link to the group if folks on the call want to see it.
No, I can just give a high level overview of what we're thinking about. So I guess just quickly, we have 3 homes for sale and we have 8 qualified households at this point. Of these 8 qualified households, 2 are only eligible for Hurley and Franklin, or smaller homes, and I'm sorry, 5 are only eligible for Hurley and Franklin. The remaining 3 are eligible for all 3 homes. So what we are planning on doing this time around, barring some, comments and discussion, is essentially holding this like a draft where we're giving each household the opportunity. That so far they've done this already. They've entered their preferences of the homes they're eligible for, ranked them 1 through 3 or 1 through 2 if they're only eligible for 2. And essentially, the plan is to randomize a draft order where the family or the household with the first choice gets their first preference. The household with the second choice gets their first preference if it's available. If not, they get whatever home they're eligible for. And the household with the third choice gets their first choice if it's available. If not, they get whatever house they're eligible for, and so on down the line until each house is filled with an eligible family. And other than that, we are planning on building up an alternate list for homes as they become available. So after these homes are assigned to particular households, there will be an alternate list up to, I think, 5 families for Hurley and Franklin, up to 2 families for Rogers, and it'll just be if a family is unable to, or household is unable to execute the purchase, then next up the list on the alternate list will jump in with the opportunity to purchase whatever house becomes available that they're eligible for. I know that's very confusing to just explain, but we think this is the best way to do it, that gives the most opportunity to give families their first preference, or households their first preference. And yeah, we think this is the way that most people are most happy. Can answer any questions, get into specifics.
What actually happens on Monday in relationship to the families? Are they invited? Are they, I mean, yeah, do they come usually, or?
Yep. So we currently have 11 people confirmed to be showing up. That's 3 households. The balance of 5 would be on Zoom. The homeownership counselor would be on Zoom. That's part of the reason, well, that's the main reason that I wanted to move the meeting from that tiny little conference room number 2 that we were relegated to the full council chambers, because there just will be so many people. There may be more, but that's the latest.
And there's other business. I'm mystified by the idea of doing this lottery with all those people and other board business at the same meeting.
It's at the top of the meeting is how we've done it, so that it's the first thing we do after calling the roll and approving the agenda. Is just have this lottery and congratulate folks, and that's what's worked the best, because I think it would be a little less structured if everybody waited until the end or something.
No, I'm, it's a lot of people, and you do have a lot of people in the lottery and a lot to explain. So it may not take as little time as it did before. I don't know what your read is on that. And then ushering people out, just the logistics. It's just the logistics of having a group of people in this. And then what is there is no also ran status except for being on the alternate list. Correct?
The alternate list, I don't know what you mean by also ran in this case, but the
Well,
alternate.
I was gonna say, you know, like achievement awards, you know, when you get the achievement award because you didn't get the first award, but you got the achievement award. There's not, I was looking for the appropriate word, right? So there's not people
Participation award?
There's no other
Participation award,
house.
right?
There's no other house for now.
That you don't get. If and when we have other houses, you go through the entire process, or
Got it. Thank you. Now I understand. So the statement is made at the end of the lottery that anyone who is not successful in purchasing a home through the KCLB would certainly be considered for the next round. They would just need to update their information. So things change, household sizes, income, but they're on the list and they would be contacted at the next round of homes for sale. Pat Stone reiterates that message to them too the next morning.
And do we write everyone a letter saying thank you? After the lottery's over, do we just send them a letter saying thank you so much for being part of our process? I'm sorry you didn't, or you know, whatever.
Yes, Pat Stone does that. their declination
Capstone
letters are
does it?
sent.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Just,
And Mike, are you set from a logistical perspective? Like, are you actually showing the calculator thing on a screen? Is that the intention, on the screens and chambers?
For my recommendation, I know we still need to sit with Nate and finalize, is to pull up on screen this website address that includes the program. It is a web-based program.
Yeah.
And run it in full screen so there's no confusion around. Someone could go to this web address and maybe get a different result. And Owen will be pulling down the program after the meeting, so that confusion will also not be there. And then to run it full screen and explain the results and then pull it down. Stop.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
That seemed to be the easiest.
Yeah, just make sure that I have used the new system in Chambers before. I do know how to use
so
it.
early.
I do know how to use
so
it. It's
early.
pretty intuitive, but just make sure that you send Elisa the Zoom link. So I tell her to include it in the meeting invite that is holding the space.
I think I do that every month, but
Okay.
this is a different, but I have to reserve it with her every month, otherwise we don't get it. So I will double check to see it's on the city's website.
just, anything
You're not
can
going to see it
will
on.
go wrong at the worst possible time.
Yeah, you're not going to, Mike. You're not going to see it on the city's website. It's on the internal calendars, and I can't even see that. So you just have to ask Elisa.
It actually is on the city's website though. Our Zoom link is up there.
Yeah, so just make sure she's added it to the invite as well.
For the internal calendar.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Monday night in the lottery? Okay. And then the last agenda item here was the quarterly community engagement plan. And Rebecca, are you the one thinking about that? Do you want to speak to that?
Well, I'm certainly thinking about it.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we will, I'm hoping that we will talk about it at in the global sense at the retreat, and then come back at the next board meeting with the next comms meeting with a plan to make a plan.
Okay.
To bake a cake. Yeah. So. And I have two different times, two different invitations for Monday, which I find intriguing. So I wondered what time the meeting is.
What times do you have?
I have one at 6 and one at 6:30.
It should be at 6:30.
Super.
You're assigned to help Mike with the tech, Rebecca. That's the 6 o'clock invite.
Is that mine?
No, that's the 5 o'clock invite. I'm
Mike
getting
and I
there
will
so
be there
early.
very early to do a lot of demos and make sure everything.
You don't want me there. I think we should have snacks. So.
Are you self-designated as a snack provider for the KCLB? I mean, it takes a village. Barbara, you'll see me nervously, regardless of how early I get there, just trying to get this all set up. There's always something that happens. I'm jinxed. But Bartek's always help me out when that happens.
Do my best.
There's no way that there's no way that there won't be a problem, right? So we just need to figure out how to address the problem. And my question is, can you do a blind run? This is my director question. Can you do a blind run of the app in the space before everyone's there?
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get there early. We're gonna do probably several blind runs. We'll have backup plans ready to go. Like we'll be on it.
You've thought about all those things, everything but snacks. Yeah, great.
I do think that if for some reason the screens aren't working in Chambers, then we can move into any of the conference rooms because they're open.
I was told
As a backup.
one is not open because we got moved to 2. That's the only
Oh,
reason
let me look.
That's what she
Maybe
told
you're
me.
right.
I still hope that we can move to the community space at least once.
It's on the agenda.
Oh, the ethics task force is meeting from 5 to 7. I don't.
What?
I can't
What's
imagine
the
that there'll be
ethics of that?
that they'll be meeting for 2 hours. But yeah, okay.
They might see the ethics of allowing us to come into the space. Sorry.
Okay, does anyone have any other comms or fundraising issues to discuss for this meeting? Okay.
Nope.
Well, thank you all. And that was on the recap.
Motion
this meeting.
to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
Aye.
Bye.
Yeah.